Okay, thank you. Thank you. So again, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our July 4th Economic Development Committee meeting. Glad everyone's make it a nice summer day finally, and hopefully we get a chance to review the agenda. I don't know if there's any errors, omissions, or changes. If I had motion forward to put that on the table, you see anything you'd change or need, let me know. Looks pretty straightforward, I believe. Does anyone have any comments or want to see a motion put forward to accept the agenda on July 4th? Thank you, Jen. Thank you again, Keith. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carried to accept the agenda on July the 4th. Of course, the adoption of the minutes from the last meeting, which was April the 11th. And when I get a chance to review them as well. Thank you, Ashley, for doing them up. They look pretty good. Is Wally not coming with us today?
He is online.
Okay. Thank you. So if anyone has any suggestions, changes, errors, or omissions, yeah, go ahead, Jen.
Thank you. Just trying to open up the minutes from the last meeting, and it says that I don't have permission to view the document.
If you want to grab a paper copy just over here, I have everything printed out.
Thank you.
Just one question, actually, reference to the past agenda for the RED grant updates. Do we have an update on that today at all for the RED program?
Yes, I can provide an update.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, someone put a motion forward to accept the minutes. Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Seconder. Thank you, Keith. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carried to accept the minutes from April the 11th. 2024. So moving on to the agenda items on 4.1 in terms of economic development 2025 budget items. Do you want to take that over, please, Ashley?
Yes, so we will be starting budget discussions that will probably go to council by October. So I thought it would be a good idea to start talking about what do we want to put on our budget for 2025 so we can kind of go through that in our next meeting in September. So what I'm proposing is a couple different items. So one of them is an economic development strategy. Our economic development strategy that we had ran from 2018 to 2023. So at this time, we do need to update that. And so I think that would be a good project for our Economic Development Committee to overtake for 2025 and provide some funding for our budget in order for that to happen. So that was one of the initiatives that I had in there. The other initiative that I also put into that budget discussion was the signage plan. So that has been part of our work plan, but I think it would be a better idea if we had someone come in, especially to do those design drawings. So that way, when we go to tender to get these signs created, you already have the package. So in 2018, when we did the gateway signs, they had the engineer drawings to go with them. So that way, when we tendered it out, we were able to get the costs for it. So having a consultant or a consultant would be the better choice. Having them go through and create the designs of what it would look like, the locations and where it goes, and even having those engineering drawings to go with it if it's applicable, just helps kind of create the implementation strategy that we can put into budget over 3 to 4 years, as well as being able to tender it out because you already have those engineering drawings to go with it. It's not like a two-step process. You have what you need to do, and then you're just tendering out for the materials to go and create those signs. So that's another initiative that I did put into that report that we could look at for 2025, or if that could be something that's implemented in that strategy to implement for 2026. And then everything else would be anything else that the committee would like to take on for 2025.
could you just please let me know how much we currently have in the 2024 budget at this time?
How much we have left?
Yes, like what have we spent on? I was hoping to, my last request was see sort of financial P&L statement to see what we've spent so far in 2024. What is our total budget? We could have plans because my understanding, we haven't spent a lot of money this year. We talked about signage in the past on Highway 12. We had come up with different ideas, but what is our current budget status at this time?
I'm sorry, I don't have that. I would have to get that from our treasurer.
Yeah, only because we were hoping to have that in our last meeting when we had April 11th, because in order to have a strategy, in order to have a plan, we need to know how much we currently have in our budget so we can actually work within the budget itself and not exceed that.
So our budget for this year was we're focusing on the CIP, which is what we're in process of doing. That was part of the plan, as well as our other work plan initiatives that we set forward. Yes, one of them was signage, but without doing signage, you need to have a comprehensive look at it. And we have very limited staff. We don't have the ability to create a big plan that really needs the insight to do it and to do it well. I don't want to put something together quickly that isn't a very good comprehensive view of what we need right now, but what we need even 5 years from now as we grow. And so we have a comprehensive look of what we look like as a township and to have the identity that we want and that branding.
Like that was one of my questions. We talked about having a tech stop maybe at the baseball location for using the dog park and the farmers market, better signage for the industrial park there on Highway 12. Do we have $20,000 in the budget approximately? Do we have 15 or 30? Do you have any approximate ideas?
So for our budget for this year, we had, there was $50,000 for the budget for this year.
And have we spent any money at all?
That's the part I don't know. That's why I just said I would have to follow up with the treasurer to see what we've spent at this time. And I don't have that comprehensive view. And unfortunately, they're just away on holidays the last couple of weeks.
Because we're almost halfway through the season of 2024, being that we're into July now. And if we could get some ideas of what we can go as a direction, you got to start somewhere. And I think it's important to show to the community that we're trying and we're trying to track new business and try and track new opportunities. So I think we need to start somehow today to come up with a plan or strategy to say that we're open for business. Let's attract new people and work with the people we have existing today. But I think one way to start is signage. Our traffic counts are way up on Highway 12, especially in the summertime. I like to somehow get that location at County Road 47 and Highway 12 better exposure. We did that sign 10, 15 years ago through the Chamber of Commerce. And I think it's time to be updated. There's some new businesses have come to the Brecken Business Park there. So I think we need to identify them as well and give them a kind of a shout out to say, hey, we're open for business. So I think if that's something we could start with this year, it's a starting point. We got to start somewhere. But is there any way we can get that started without having to worry about the rest of the signs? The gateway signs are great, but I think this is right in our own backyard and trying to promote the business we have right now.
I just think that maybe we could start coming up with ideas and plans. And then once we have the answer regarding the budget, we can actually see what fits into that budget and what has to be postponed until next year. And then we can actually ask for the money at budget time for the remaining items that we didn't get done this year. Does that seem like an idea?
I think it's great. I want to get going. I want to get things started. I think we've been behind the eight ball a little bit, and other community around us are growing from Brock to our basically south, and of course Severn to the north. I like to see somehow. Have you seen the Washago sign? That looked great. I would like to have that duplication. We talked about having a Ramara Rock sign, something better at the baseball diamond in terms of the park there. Put the dog park on the business. Get people to stop for texting. Texting's killing people. So I know you see them all over southwestern Ontario now. A text location to stop. We got 10,000 cars coming through Brecken on a daily basis in the summer. Casino Rama having great concerts. We're bringing people right through our door. I just think we're missing an opportunity to say, hey, we're open. Come work with us. Stop here, shop here, support local. So that's been my mandate since day one, is to see how can we get people to stop here. We're driving through. Let's get them to stop and spend some money.
Do we have to do anything with infrastructure to designate that parking lot as a public parking lot? Is there, I don't know what the ruling is on that.
It is a public parking lot.
That's why I'm wondering. So we don't have to do anything. It's just basically signage to advertise it. Is that it?
Yeah. So, okay. So with all of the things that Roger is speaking of, we do have plans going forward. So we did apply for the tourism growth program, and that was to create that area into a tech stop, recreate or not recreate, but reconstruct the area to amplify the baseball diamond and create more of a destination, opposed to kind of what it is now and just adding signage to it. So that was a grant that we applied for and that we just haven't heard back from, in order to get that kind of going over the next 3 to 4 years.
And that includes revitalizing the baseball diamond and getting that back up and going, as well as what you're talking about as well.
I think it's very important because a lot of people said, based on the traffic, if you head north, they want to be able to have a light to get back out of. We have that light. We have the turning green left and right now. So there's opportunities to get out of there on a high traffic day like a Sunday or Friday. But again, I think we're missing an opportunity here right now, especially to maybe enhance the farmers market. We need a lot of people don't even know there's a dog park there to actually stop your dog and way to Muskoka or from the North Bay or whatever. I think that's important to put something out there right now to enhance that signage. Especially we have some, still got, a couple, 3-4 months of good traffic flow coming through our door.
I think the only issue is I think we're too late this year, to be honest. I think by the time we design a sign and get everything approved and get it ordered and made, the summer's over. But I don't necessarily want to see us spend money if the grant is going to cover it. Do you know what I mean? That money could be used for something else. So I agree with you, though. We do need to get it up and going. And I think that should be something we need to decide by the next meeting for the spring of next year. We should have an answer back by that grant, I would think, by then.
Yes, and I think that we do need to have a comprehensive look. So when we're trying to do those designs, as the report indicates, you need to have a comprehensive look of the whole township as a whole, not just this specific area. So that way, when you're creating that branding and that signage, you're doing it all together as one. So that way you don't have mismatched signs everywhere we go.
What is the deadline for the grant?
They didn't give us a deadline on when they would let us know.
It's closed now, though.
Okay, that's what my
We
understanding.
applied back in March.
Okay, so it's coming past it. The deadline's come past. Okay, because I didn't know if it was still open that we could actually submit something else or a different idea or do some brainstorming, have a special meeting to get ideas out there. Because I think it's important that, if you don't put your application in the grant, you don't get it. So
Yeah.
you need to submit it. Go ahead, Jen.
Thank you. So the question about the signage strategy, like I understand finding the deficiencies in the whole municipality, but as Roger just said, like those signs are only about 10 years old. So we already have the branding. We already have most of this work done. If we're happy with the way that these signs look, or are we keeping the old and starting fresh with the whole municipality? Like this is what I'm.
The whole CIP plan of restructuring the whole downtown Brecken area, though, and that municipality, that's what what Ashley's talking about, is we're looking at redoing everything.
No, I recognize that. So the new signs that we just put in over in Atherley, like our entrance signs to the township, they're not that old. Like the branding was just all done for that. So why are we not happy with the way that branding would look throughout the rest of the municipality? Is that what the challenge is?
I think it's going off of those looks. So that's a gateway sign. So those signs in itself are quite expensive. So do you want the exact same sign everywhere you go? That would be a question. Right now, those are to the entrances to the municipality. There could be also the same type of look that looks at enhancing those settlement areas or looking at our beaches and our parks. So that way, yes, we're utilizing the same brand, but we have the same type of look depending on what you're putting that signage on.
Okay, so then the $60,000 to $70,000 then, this isn't obviously to go and start erecting signs because that's not nearly enough money for that, but it also seems very high when we already have half the work done. Like I would imagine that the work from a consultant would be coming up with the branding, but if the branding's already there, now you're just pinpointing things, it's a drive around the township. So I'm a little bit confused, like that's a lot of money, right? Like when you do all the adding up of these 3 items that have dollar amounts on them are almost at $200,000, which is a great stretch from $50,000 that we received this year. So what does that $60,000 to $70,000 include, I guess, is what I'm trying to get to.
Again, this is just a rough quote that I took out to see what would it cost for someone to actually create the design. So you're thinking of the gateway signs. Yes, our branding is on a gateway sign, but signage is more than that. It's looking at, do you partner with Brecken and Beyond and look at updating the banners that we have around the township, looking at the parks, like that gateway sign and that engineering drawing for that gateway sign is just one little piece of what that whole signage plan would look like.
Yeah.
And you need the drawings with it. Again, it might be very high and it might come down lower. This is just from investigating what different municipalities have done. And yes, our branding was done back 5 years ago or more. So they need to take some of that branding and enhance it in order to then create that branding for the whole municipality.
I have a couple of suggestions. We have two Ramara Chamber of Commerce signs. We're currently publicizing the coming up Classic Car Show, and we have a slotted system where we can actually submit if it was a winter carnival or different times of the year. I think we'd be willing to work with you guys if we want to put a dog park sign even for this year. I just think we're missing out here. I really think we need to get people to stop and come to our community, and we'd be willing to work and partner with you guys, I think. The other suggestion was we have half a building at St. Andrews Hall here right on Highway 12 that's still, I think Wally put some great pictures up there, but half the building still looks a little derelict. We have some great, we had a photo contest the last couple of years for Brecken and Beyond. We'd be willing to give some of your photos that were taken by Ramara residents to put them inside those ugly little black windows now that are boarded up. I think we get something like that going pretty quickly. And as I said, for the north and south side of the Chamber of Commerce, once the car show's over, we could take that slot out and put dog park ahead or farmers market ahead or something just to get people to stop and recognize that we're a community that wants to see people come and spend some money in our town and support our local business. So I'm willing to get that going and rolling. And I don't know who I have to talk to, but if that's something we can do, if we have that limited budget right now, I just hate seeing time go by. We've, obviously last meeting was April. Now we're into July, next meeting is August. So we've got to do something, I think, to try and show to our businesses that we're trying to help them and trying to enhance opportunities to why you should be a business opening up in Ramara and why we're trying to get people to stay here and shop here. If anyone has ideas, I'm all for it. But there's one thing right now we could do. We could order those signs from the sign man, from people in Aurelia. There's different local sign operators that would be happy to work with us. If we had a mandate, I think we can get that done in a couple of weeks. Okay, welcome. Wally, what would you think about if we were to add a couple extra Brecken and Beyond pictures to the St. Andrews Hall? We already got them. We own the photography. We can get them to you. Would that be something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, actually, I just turned on my screen to come in through the chair. Thank you for looping me in. I do agree that the first part of attracting people and businesses is to be attractive. I think the example of the bank, it really took a derelict building and just kind of brought it into the community and made it less of an eyesore. I do agree that putting something on the St. Andrews in any kind of capacity, it could be photos, it could be art, it could be anything, would definitely make that corner. Right now, the abandoned corner is a focal point. I know that firsthand from before I came here, that I always looked at those buildings when I drove by and missed the municipal office. And I've got that feedback from a lot of people by being involved in the community. So definitely beautification is a first step. Signage is an interesting thing. I think, again, branding the township. I don't think anybody grasps how large Ramara is end to end when they're driving through it on the way to Gravenhurst or Bracebridge, or even stopping off at one of the provincial parks. I mean, we do have data that each park receives almost 100,000 people per year through the whole calendar year. I guess maybe 60 or 70% of that would be at least that much in the summer. So there's a lot of people passing through. I think the signage strategy is to kind of tie in all of our hamlets and our communities and things like that to give you the feeling of how large Ramara is and how much potential it has. I think getting people off of the highway and into the community is definitely making things appear attractive and reaching out to them electronically. I would say more than 3/4 of the people going anywhere don't even look outside of their vehicle windows anymore. I've seen people miss turns because they're looking at their phone and their GPS is delayed by 2 seconds and they miss the turn. So I think our branding is so important so that they tie that branding with some digital media marketing so that when they see the logo online, they see the logos and they see our brand outside, they realize that they're in the place that we're marketing. I think that's a very easy, low-hanging fruit first step to kind of obtain. And yeah, so that's kind of my thought on one of the ideas on how we can move things forward. But definitely beautification is a great idea of that building. Ashley, I think we kind of looked into that slightly, right? At one point.
Yeah, and it's something we could add to. It's just, it's more the budget part of it.
Mhm. And we could look at different ways maybe to get items up there that are budget friendly. The photos aren't that expensive for smaller photos. I guess it would just kind of be the installation and things like that that kind of start to add up to getting the zoom boom out there and then a person and this and that. But we could look at maybe partnering up with infrastructure to share some of these costs possibly as well.
Yeah, well, I'm on the Rec and Beyond committee, and we already had a conversation about this in our last meeting. We'd be happy to share at no cost whatsoever. We had a photo contest for the spring. It was all submitted by Ramara residents of what spring looks like to you in Ramara. We're currently doing one for summer right now. We'd be happy to share with those photos with you. If you want to put them up in the St. Andrews Hall, that's a great idea. And people that actually took the photos are Ramara residents. So, hey, that's my picture up on the wall, or I can would help dress that up that corner, especially when we have traffic stopping there all the time. We'd be willing to pass those on to you right away if that's something you want to do for the summer. I just want to see something happen. We're just been falling behind the wayside so too many times. So anything we can do to enhance our community and say, hey, that's new, I think that's a step in the right direction.
I agree, and I think that could be one thing that we can resolve in this meeting, that we agree to move forward and make a plan. And if we can make it work with our budget as it's unknown now, if it works within our budget, then we can move forward at least with starting that at least on one face at the very least. Yeah.
So can we submit these to you? I'll get them off to you in a week or so and get them submitted to you directly, the photos we have.
If the committee's in agreement, absolutely.
That's something we can do, just something to show that we're doing something, right? So, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, someone will put the motion on the floor.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess we'll put the motion on the floor that we have the Brecken and Beyond committee submit photos to our chief building official so he can get them enhanced to put on the building at the St. Andrews Hall.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed of any? Motion carried. Let's get going. Excellent. So I'll get those off to you. We have a great photo, and we have another one going on currently. So we'll get a Breck and Beyond committee to submit those photos to you right away, and then hopefully you can get them up into the summer and sort of get those old wooden pieces of plywood dressed up a little bit. So that's a great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if you could just let them know the windows are roughly 2 feet by 5 feet. So and we need fairly good quality resolution, but something that will crop to that size would be the ideal. But they can send us anything and we can work with that too.
Okay, great. Thank you for the dimensions. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so maybe on to perhaps 4.2, unless there's anything else on the economic development budget items. Anything else that we see that needs to be addressed at this time, Ashley?
So just to be out of that report, is there anything that you want to bring forward to the 2025 out of that report?
I think from the discussion here, we increased the budget last year, but we're going to have to increase it again this year if we're going to want to do more signage. I'm going to suggest we put in 100,000 and see where that goes because we're looking at more signage.
And I'm going to recommend also a strategy. I do have to say there isn't a staff member devoted to economic development. It's the CAO. So this isn't part of my job description. Yeah. I do this as other duties as assigned. So if you really want someone devoted to economic development, a strategy is really going to help you, tell you kind of what needs to be happening. What is it the community wants? What does the businesses want? What are the tasks that we can do over the next 4 years? And it may as well explain that you need a dedicated person in order to get a lot of these initiatives done. So I do think a strategy, yes, I know signage is very important and I very much respect that. That's something I want to happen, but a strategy is really going to explain the amount of work that needs to happen as well. So I do think a strategy is probably one of the most important things that this committee needs to be looking at going forward, and then even council.
Do you, through the chair, do you think it would be a good idea, similar to our master rec plan, to look at it, something like that to create a plan for us?
Yeah, so that's what the report outlined, and it gave you some costing. And so there is grants that you can get through OMAFRA, but it would be something that, let's say you put $60,000 in your budget. Yes, you can get a grant from OMAFRA, but that at least you know you have most of the money set aside for the strategy. And then if the grant comes through, then you have it to support it. But that's something you would put in for your 2025 budget in order to implement for 2025.
So I think we should definitely put a motion on the floor, and I'll put it on the floor, that we look at hiring a consultant to create that strategy for us. And we put a dollar amount in the budget according to what that cost would be. I think it minimum would be probably 25,000, Ashley, for a consultant.
It's like 50 to 60,000, but
Okay.
then there's a grant to offset that. Like that could be around maybe 25,000. So it just depends.
Okay.
But I'd rather ask more and then we get some.
We'll have some play. Yeah. So let's say $50,000. Second.
All in favor? Opposed of any? Motion carried, but $50,000 towards a consultant for our 2025 budget. And guys, that's what we're here to do. We're trying to create economic development for our community. So
Yeah.
we got to get going somehow, some way. And when we start bringing a consultant in, tell us what we can work towards, have our goals. My understanding, once the new CEO is hired, they'll be joining us as the economic development. Okay,
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah.
that's
It's his,
the next-
the CAO is off today. I think he
Yeah.
would be here, the
Okay.
interim. Yeah.
Okay, great. Anything else, Ashley, we need to be under the 4.1 for the agenda?
Before we go on, Wally, did you want to have anything else? Or are you good?
No, that was good. I thought
Okay.
25 was a little low, so 50, I think we can work with that.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So moving on to 4.2, the County of Simcoe Employment Survey Pilot Project.
Yeah, so I provided a report about that. So the County of Simcoe, through the Planning Department, has launched their planning, their economic or their employment survey pilot project. So basically with that, they're going through and they're getting requesting information from all the businesses within Simcoe County or the County of Simcoe in order to understand what type of businesses are within the area and get some statistical information about like how many employees, like full-time, part-time, so on and so forth. What I'm suggesting within this report is that Simcoe County has, I think it was only 4 students this year doing this pilot project over 2 years, is that next year that through the planning department, we hire 2 students in order to go door to door implementing what the County of Simcoe is doing right now using the technology and equipment that they allowed us, that they have said that they are allowing us to use in order to survey these businesses, in order to get things moving, right? We don't have a database of every business. Maybe the Chamber of Commerce does, but I know Ramara, like the township, doesn't have a database with every type of businesses here within Ramara. And so having that database will just provide a lot more background information for the staff here in order to create different initiatives or working with developers or working with people who want to come in within the community and understanding the community better. So I provided some information about that, especially the costing of what 2 students would look like completing this project.
I know the Simcoe County folks, and of course, Jill Dunlop's office recently reached out to the Chamber of Commerce looking for an update. In Ramara, we also have a lot of home businesses. So sometimes they may not recognized being a street, some location, or being a directory someplace. So that is certainly a challenge. So maybe having a couple of students going through next year or sooner than better to try and find exactly how many businesses are in town so we can actually enhance the actual opportunity to work from here. Because having high-speed internet is so important for these people to work at home because you couldn't do that 10 years ago. This allows more opportunities with businesses now. Is there anything else from Simcoe County from the actual survey pilot project?
No, I think Ashley covered it quite well. It really is a fantastic initiative. The planning department is leading, and getting that baseline data of our local businesses really does help help us have a good understanding of local businesses. And exactly that's the problem, is that so many people are doing businesses from home that you don't have a good concrete idea of how many actual businesses are within your local municipality, right? So gathering this data will definitely help, especially if you're pursuing a economic development strategy. It's a really great opportunity to have all of that baseline data gathered in order to move on and develop that growth within your local municipality. So if anybody has any questions in regards to this survey, I'm happy to answer them myself. Between Ashley and I, I'm sure we can come up with an answer, but yeah.
I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Do you have a minimum or maximum number of employees? Like, would you say minimum would be 2 or 3 and maximum would be 100? We don't have a lot of big corporations working out of Ramara. We have more small business. Is there a criteria at all?
No, no,
Okay.
there's no criteria. It's really gathering all the businesses that we can get in touch with and all that data that we can gather to have that comprehensive list of what's available. It's just a matter of getting in touch with them and reaching out, which is fantastic when our local municipalities get involved, because at the end of the day, they have a better idea of who's on the ground and who's available, right? So I know that we are looking at like employment lands and understanding those more and kind of targeting those more, but it's truly, there's no criteria when it comes to the size or business.
And for business, again, let's say you had a daycare business running at home or an accountant running from your home. Is there any other criteria to have to fit? Like, obviously, you have to have an HST number or GST number, a shingle up front, maybe advertising. Is there any other criteria that has to meet that approval?
Nope.
No,
Okay.
it's just any business.
Mhm.
So any business.
Any
That's
business
right.
would enter and so they could do it right now. They could go through and fill out this survey. The County of Simcoe has pushed it out to everyone. I'm just
Mhm.
recommending that we hire 2 people to go door to door because I want to make sure we actually grab that information.
Because we could have seasonal businesses too, maybe a jet ski business or something like that for the summer, or obviously things through the provincial park. I know some people even sell firewood, for goodness sake. So there's different opportunities in our own backyard to have a business opportunity. We, through the Chamber of Commerce, only get so many, depending on who wants to be a member on more of a maybe medium to larger scale. But small business is very important. It's the backbone to Ontario. So it'd be nice to see how we can help them or enhance their business as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even just to develop that relationship with them, right? And understand that how we can help them moving forward. And if they're looking to scale their business, and if they are part-time, how we can help them move forward and become full-time, get into markets, that kind of stuff too, right?
And when you say help them, what else can you offer to them or assist with them?
Well, and that's something that could come from an economic development
Okay.
strategy too, right? So it's laying out all the programs and services, and where our community or our committee can help as well, right? So it's understanding their needs, and that helps a lot in developing a survey or an employment survey. Is what we're doing, is to understand who's there, and then proceeding with that conversation of what they need in regards to how they can grow their business and help them thrive, right? Oh, sorry, I keep doing that. My hands down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because like we also had in the past, we'd have the CDC, which was a wealth of knowledge. Wendy was great.
Mhm.
She would have a business plan. If you say, okay, here's what my strategy is financially, here's what I can afford, here's what I want to do, here's show me a direction how I get financing,
Yeah.
enhancing or enlarging your business. So, but Simcoe County doesn't really do that, but that's more the CDC's job, I guess, correct? For business
When
plan?
it depends on what exactly they're looking for, but at the end of the day, if they're more of a smaller business and they're looking to have that business plan created, then definitely the CDC is someone they would look towards. Any kind of local future corporation, definitely go to them, or a small business enterprise center, right? So having that conversation with them, and I mean, at the county specifically, if someone were to reach out to me and ask, oh, like I'm looking to start a business, or this is my business, how do I move forward? Then really we have a good database of who is available within that area and who can help. And then we bring them together and have that conversation of whose programs and services would be able to help them the best. And having this survey in place, a lot of people don't know that. A lot of local businesses, a lot of small businesses don't understand of how many programs and services are available to them to help them grow. And so this is definitely a fantastic first step in making that introduction and developing that relationship with them. So, yeah.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Any other comments to go reference to the Simcoe employment survey pilot project? No? Okay. Okay, so we'll move on to 4.3 to the trail projects. Do you have an update for that? Ashley, reference the trail program?
Yep. So I'm going to talk about some construction projects as well as our communication plan for this summer. So there's 2 big construction projects that are going to be occurring this year. They're going to be developing the Ramara Trail that goes from Casino Rama to Airport Road. So that is one that they received Trans-Canada Trail funding for, and that will be implemented. The other one will be the reconstruction of the Rama Road trail, the one right out beside Rammer Road. That one will be updated between Longford Mills up to Quarry Point Road. And so that one is partially funded both by Rama First Nation, the County of Simcoe with their Connecting Communities grant, and then the Township of Ramara. And then the other thing I really wanted to mention, especially having yourself here as the Chamber of Commerce, is that we're doing a communication plan this year and having a photo contest. So exploring the trails all around Ramara, having people take photos of themselves on the trails. But as part of that weekly campaign, even discussing some of those amenities or businesses around those trails. So that way, when someone goes to, let's say, the Ramara Trail, what kind of businesses would someone be able to access while they're on that trail? In Lagoon City, for instance, they could stop at Pier 1, they could go to Fin City. So I did reach out to the Chamber of Commerce, but having kind of that partnership with them, so that way we don't miss any businesses as we kind of promote them as we do those weekly campaigns. So that's going to be starting next week, the photo contest.
Yeah, last week we had 30 cyclists from Toronto actually sort of park in Lagoon City and went 20 kilometers north and south around the area. So I was quite happy to chat with them, a surprise. So cycling is very important too. It seems to still be growing. It's Olympic year this year. So cycling is very big and part of that. So it's good to see people utilizing trails because they went right from the trail signs because they had no idea they hadn't been here before. So it was good to see the signage help point them in the right direction.
Yes. And then I should note that the one part through Orkney will be redone. The signs will be redone to let them through. We did receive a grant through the County of Simcoe with their Tourism Enhancement Fund to just update that signage. And then with that, the County of Simcoe last time, they did almost like a mapping where a lot of cyclists, when they're going through the trail, they want to map. And so they've mapped it with the two different sections of the cycling route. So that will be remapped as well.
So it's a GPS program then?
It's already, and it's available on our website for someone to download and go through, and it tells you kind of where to turn, so on and so forth.
Because we had a few dead ends they ran into last week. Didn't know how to get back around. We went to Paradise Boulevard. Couldn't figure out how to cross to Concession 7. I said, well, you can't unless you go by boat or you go back the other trail, right? But it's made for cycling. So it's great to see that people are coming out, discovering our area, and trails are very important, I think. So yeah, anytime we get better signage that helps them to find out where they're going and where they can map out a route to get around town. Okay, great. Any other comments for the trails projects at all? Okay. Okay, so moving on to 4.4, the official plan update.
Yes, thank you. The official plan, actually, it's moving quite well. We're just doing a few little refinements here and there in wording, but the plan overall has been established. We do have a scheduled public meeting, I believe, for August 12th. For the official public meeting, which is statutorily required in the approval process. Notices are going out to the public via normal distribution, I guess what used to be the paper and our website. I think it's a long overdue plan, but one of the benefits of being late is we were able to pick up all the latest, I guess, advanced planning policies and, learned a lot of things from a lot of people's mistakes and kind of some of the cutting edge stuff that can shape our municipality in a way where we can really balance the urban and rural and kind of seasonal setting that we have, which is a little bit unique compared to some other municipalities. Yeah, we're very excited to see that, and we hope a lot of people can come out to the public meeting and we can get our last round of feedback.
And then one other thing I want to note is that they're having a public information session, just basically where someone can come in and see the draft plan as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, and that's July 11th from 3 to 6 p.m.
Correct.
And all the notices are now public on our website. It went out this morning.
When is the deadline for the actual official plan? Is it 2024? Is that the plan?
Yeah, so once we have the public meeting, we bring it to council for adoption. When council approves it, it goes to the County of Simcoe, which is our approval authority. And depending on the outcome of the provincial changes, either the County of Simcoe will approve it and make it official, or it will have to go to the province, depending on the status of the county's planning approval authority this fall as a result of Bill 23 and Bill 109. So we have yet to see, but the first step is to get it through our public and then through our council and then send it up to a higher level of government for approval.
I know
we're hoping to have it this year. Yeah,
that's great news because I know we waited a long time. Obviously, prior to COVID, we were supposed to have it obviously confirmed. It's taken a long time for we can get something shovels in the ground and boots in the ground to get things moving forward. To tell us what we can do, what we can't do. So I think that's very important to again show we're open for business. To show our official plan is now up to date because it's been years and years waiting for this process to be completed.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Is there anything else we can do to help at all, or just give feedback maybe through our members and our residents?
Yeah, just if you could let people know that it's out there, just in case they don't see the circulations, and if people could just have a look at it with the perspective from their own personal view, that can help us because we only see what we see, right? So we're looking for our blind spots. So if you could let that out, then that would be great.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other comments for the official plan? Any other suggestions or ideas? We need help from Simcoe County, so if you have any suggestions, we're all ears. Okay. So anything else, Ashley, for the official plan? No. Okay. So maybe moving on to 4.5, the partner updates. Unfortunately, our member for the CDC is not here today. Did they forward any information at all?
No, they didn't.
Okay. I know Wendy's kind of doing double duty right now with the CDC, finalizing that, going to Simcoe County Economic Development. So I think we can always count on her for any knowledge or experience as well. I think that's huge. For my little update in terms of the Ramara Chamber of Commerce, we're very excited to have the 12th annual Classic Car Show coming up July 13th at the Lagoon City Marina. That's something we have always look forward to. Hopefully Mother Nature cooperates. We have probably 1,000 people show up, hundreds of cars. And it's a great day for vendors to sell their wares to the general public. And again, it's one of the rare car shows on the water. So again, that is July 13th from 9 to 4. At the Lagoon City Marina, and there's still space available from classic cars. I doubt we'll see any electric cars, but we'll see lots of classic cars. So and trucks, and we've seen some boats before, and then tractors and stuff like that. So you never know what could show up. But because we're sort of central Ontario, we may get cars in the past from North Bay, Bancroft, Peterborough, things that you wouldn't normally see. So we're very excited to have that coming around the corner on July the 13th. We also have our networking event on September the 11th on the Trent Canal for their golf tournament and event starting at 1 o'clock on September 11th. If anyone would like to join us, they're more than welcome. It's a great way to network different businesses and opportunities. And of course, that's on September the 11th coming up this fall. Anything else from the actual County of Simcoe Economic Department?
Yes, absolutely. I have a few notes here. I'll try not to ramble. And if anybody has any questions, please interrupt me at any time. We held our Workforce Connect conference on June 18th. It was at Snow Valley, and we saw a great uptake on attendees. Everyone was very happy with how the conference went. And again, the conference was directed to entrepreneurs and human resource professionals across sectors to discuss hiring strategies and immigration employment strategies, and to share even advice and best practices. And so it was a fantastic turnout. So we're really happy to see that. We also had our Skilled Trades and Apprenticeship Expo on May 15th, and that was in Elmville. We had 25 different trades represented at that event, and saw 2,600 students and attendants representing 57 different schools across Simcoe County. And for the evening event, which was open to the public, we did see 200 people attend then as well. So very successful event there as well. And we've already started planning for 2025. So more good things to come. Our office has also been working with our local immigration partnership to develop a workforce inclusion charter, which is going to be a voluntary initiative and launched in early November. And it's designed for employees in Simcoe County that are committed to fostering an inclusive workplace. And employers will sign a declaration and identify commitments they will be implementing to in regards to being a workforce or workplace inclusion champion. So again, that will be coming out early November. We are organizing the manufacturers forum for November 5th. This will be held at the Nottawasaga Inn, and it'll be a morning event that will incorporate or be on the theme of being an employer of choice. We're still in early development stages for that event, but as more information comes, we'll be happy to share. Our agriculture and agri-food value chain work plan was approved by our economic development subcommittee, and we'll be moving forward with items from that plan, which would include building a agriculture and agri-food sector profile. And various things outlined in that plan. There's a lot to do, so we'll be quite busy with that. The Simcoe County Federation of Agriculture is doing their annual summer barbecue, July 11th. And you'll have an opportunity to hear guest speaker Nick Williamson, and who's from the Agris Cooperative. And that dinner will also be provided at 5:30, and this will be at the Lanecrest Farms in Elmville. I do have the registration link if anybody's interested, and I can share that with Ashley as well. And our entrepreneurship ecosystem have developed our first 2024 Ask an Expert session. So we are partnering with Intellectual Property Ontario to host just a virtual webinar July 9th from 1:30 to 2:30 to talk about or to share the importance of intellectual property, discuss effective budgeting strategies, and the Intellectual Property Ontario's programs and services to help local businesses move forward with that process. So again, yeah, that's next week actually. And at the end of it, of course, there will be an opportunity for all attendees to ask the expert any questions they may have. But upon registration too, you have an opportunity to submit questions there as well. In addition to the sector profile for the agriculture, food and beverage that I mentioned before, we have also developed a defense and security sector profile, which will be available on our website quite shortly. We also on our EDO website has developed a new statistics dashboard that has I always get stumbled on that, the statistics dashboard, as well as I'm going to say stats, okay, stats summary. And you can see the 2021 consensus information all nicely put in both those platforms for Simcoe County, but also you can do it for, or you can filter it by local municipalities. So I totally encourage everyone to go on our website and play around with it. It's a great platform, and we'll be working with our local municipalities to get that integrated on their website as well. And there's also, in addition to that, there's an ability to compare between regions as well. And even compare, say, Township of Ramara, of course, to the County of Simcoe and their statistics in comparison to that. So it's a great dashboard. We're really happy with it. And so take a look. And if there's anything that you see that you want to be noted or that could enhance the dashboard, we'd be more than happy to hear your recommendations and feedback. So that is it. Are there any questions?
I just have a question in reference to your job fair. Do you have a goal of how many people you try and attract? Like we did our first, the Chamber of Commerce last year. We have overwhelming success. It's all about supporting Simcoe County and of course our own local community to get people to work local if possible. Do you have a goal in mind? You mentioned a couple things. I know you did a trucking one before in the past. You're doing agritourism now. Do you have a goal? Like say, I'm trying to get 30 employers to come out and get 100 potential applications, or do you have a plan in place for that?
So in regards to a job fair, are you speaking towards like our agriculture sector?
Either or, yeah, either like, and we were hoping to get like our goal was to have like 30 to 40 businesses trying to track maybe 100 people to come up with applications. There was, in our case, we had 20 people hired that day.
Oh,
So it was a
that's
very good success story. So
That's
we're going to
great.
do it again next spring. So I didn't know if you had anything else we could, copy you guys
Yeah.
or learn from you guys and say, well, we'd like to do the same, or how you promote it, how you get the word out there, the message out there to say, look, you don't have to drive to Toronto every day. If you can get a job working locally, it's much better for yourself and your family to support local and work.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. No, that's great. And so for the rest of 2024, from what I understand, is that we won't be putting on any other career fairs.
Okay.
However, I'm specifically to entrepreneurship. My colleague Ruth Walker Scott is workforce. So I'll see if there's anything in the works for anything further for 2024, but even in working in 2025 and developing, because I believe there's the commercial trucking job fair. We're going to continue with that or change it in any sort of way, as well as the I know that there was a county-wide career job fair. So I'm happy to have Ashley and you in that conversation and see and discuss even best practices with my colleague and see if there's any way that we can bounce ideas off each other and even learn a few things from you guys, because that's a fantastic outcome from your career fairs. That's so great to hear. Yeah.
You never know who shows up some days, but you got to get the word, the message out there.
Yes.
We still think, again, for the trades, we like to maybe somehow get a message out these days to our kids in grade 8 that, again, there's opportunities now before you get to high school. I grew up in an area called Sarnia. So basically everyone had to take a trade mandatory, electricity, welding, boilermaker, something like that. So these kids now have great opportunities through Georgian College. And
Mhm.
it's like, where else can you get better knowledge in your own backyard?
Mhm.
But you don't have to be an accountant. You don't have to be a computer whiz. You can actually work in the actual trades today, and it's huge returns and very successful stories.
Absolutely. Yeah. And as because we've started planning for our 2025 Skilled Trades and Apprenticeship Expo, we're wanting to make it way bigger and more inclusive to all of our municipalities. The way it was done this year, it was kind of like those schools who are wanting to attend. It was kind of first come, first serve. And so we're hoping with our organizations now and making that day bigger, that we have more attendance and more trades available. And really spreading that word. That's the whole goal of the event, is spreading that word that there's so many different career options, and trades is absolutely a totally viable one. And it's just as important as that evening event of having their parents come out and hear that themselves as well, right? So, and because their parents are such a huge influence on their lives and, how their future will proceed forward, right? So, definitely incorporating that and having everyone in that conversation as well would be fantastic. Yeah.
We say it's very important to plant the seed early.
Yes,
Grade
that's right.
10, 11, 12, get them thinking you might want to be a plumber, or a welder, electrician. Huge to have that opportunity. There's going to be huge demand. A lot of people are retiring from those trades now. So
Mhm.
it's important to offer those opportunities that it's right in your own backyard. Georgian College, Lakehead University is right
Mhm.
here. They actually have a program now. We can learn 3 different trades with a 1 semester. So you
Mhm.
don't have to, maybe you want to do auto mechanic, maybe you want to go to the welding category. It's now having a little bit of information and knowledge firsthand by taking through Georgian College before you go the next step.
Absolutely.
So anything we can help to work with you guys, we'd love to. So that sounds great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Any other comments for that at all, or suggestions? I think it's a great initiative. Bert, do you have anything from the agritourism side that you'd like to share with us today?
I think so.
Okay.
Find it very interesting. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. Sounds like.
Mhm.
I will stay tuned.
Awesome. Absolutely. And if there's anything that comes up that you have any suggestions or feedback for, please let us know. Mhm.
Anything else under the community marketing promotions? 4.6.
That is the item you wanted to add to the
Oh, for
agenda.
me? Okay. Yeah, it was just again about supporting local. How else can we find ways to promote our business as our own community? It's one thing, again, having people come through the door, but we got to find a way to get them to stop. So that was my idea. Shop local, support local, buy local. If anything else, Bert's a perfect example now on his agritourism side. He'll providing fresh product to Foodland through his broccoli program this year. I think that's a great initiative. How much fresher can you get when it's 2 minutes down the road? So I think that's a great initiative. I'd like to see more of that involved in the community. I know the guy that's in the business park here. He has the wood chip business now, of course, and been very successful adding that to your barbecue. You can stop and shop there, and for your wood chips, it's a very unique sort of design and business opportunity. So I'd like to see more opportunities like that where we can enhance business and help promote them in our own backyard. So anything from Simcoe County you can help or suggest as well. We're all about trying to work together and partner with different people to try and move forward. So if anything we can think of we can do as a group here, or Economic Development Committee, I think we need to get those ideas out there in a brainstorming session and get them out there and exposed and look for feedback from our community. So is there anything else from you, Jen, at all, or?
I was just about support local. Is the plan to have the contest again this year? Or this
Through, you mean the contest that was held with
I
the
think it was
Ramara
November
Experience?
last year.
The Ramara Experience?
Yes, through the Ramara
Okay,
Experience.
I don't have the information on that because the experience right now is under the Chamber of Commerce with Ramara.
Okay.
So I don't know if Roger might have. I know side conversations, just when Sherry and I have been chit chatting, we have kind of brainstormed a few different ideas of things to kind of promote that she can bring back to the chamber with some ideas. So we've been kind of working on the side a little bit, but I certainly don't want to
Okay.
take the win from her sales because it's
Okay.
her baby. So.
Just wondering. Because it was fairly successful last year.
I certainly agree. And on a side note, I had actually attended a teeny tiny summit that was put on by OMAFRA and Roma. And it was all talking about promoting communities and different things. And I came out of there with some really great ideas. So I have had a sit down right now with Robin Dunn, our new interim CAO, and kind of gave him a platter and asked him to kind of pick out his favorite entree so that maybe we can sit down. Right now, the ideas are this big. So he's helping me work them into this big so I can bring it forward to the committee because I have some really exciting things that he and I are just working through right now. So I don't want to really say too much right now until I have a thing, because one of the ideas that we talked about was to partner with the chamber and with the Ramara Experience to make this an even bigger thing. So
Okay.
right now,
If you just as an input, if you are going to have another one, I have some suggestions how maybe we can build on it.
amazing. Yeah, no, that would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great because
Yeah.
we have just kind of it's challenging in the sense that, Waleed said it earlier, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So how can we promote? What can we do? We're coming at with our lens. So I'm sure, the chamber and Sherry with the experience would love to hear them. And again, like I'll put myself available out there to support in any way I can as both a member of council, but also as now a active committee member, but then also as like, a taxpayer in Ramara, right? Like it's really vital and important. So that would be absolutely amazing. Like
We'd like to get a fall program going, I think, actually. So if you have any suggestions or feedback, we're all ears and open any suggestions we have.
absolutely. And I did receive some feedbacks from some of the businesses after the launch last year and some of the things that maybe some of them want to see too. So I brought that information back to Sherry as well.
Okay, great. Sounds good.
Mhm.
Good, go ahead.
Yeah, just procedural. I just want to check, have we passed all of the motions that were recommended? Ashley, I just want to make sure we go through them and
No, so what I was thinking, because we kept going through them, is other than the two motions for 4.1 and 4.2, what we could do is for agenda items 4.3 to 4.7, that we receive them as information and then we can vote on that. But I was going to wait till we were done and then.
okay, no problem.
Okay, that was just my last part of 4.7 before we finish off. Thank you, Keith, for that. The buy local, support local. If we can get that focus for this fall, I think we have a lot to offer to a lot of people in our area and as well as surrounding areas. And if we don't support each other, nobody else will. So I think now's your chance to sort of put that best foot forward and see how we can grow on it and get people to recognize there's good opportunities here in your own backyard. So I think that's very important to enhance what we had with Ramara Experience last year. It was kind of step one. We'd like to move to step 2 and 3. So I think that's something we can look forward to doing this fall. So going back to some homework here, go ahead, Ashley, to clean this up for the motions. You want to do 4.3 first or?
So what we could do is we could just, because a lot of them are just receiving as information.
Yep.
So the recommendation would be that we receive items 4.3 to 4.7 as information.
Okay, all in favor?
I need a first.
Go ahead, Keith, go ahead. Jen, second. Thank you. All in favor? Motion carried to accept the recommendations from 4.3 to 4.7. Thank you. Any other new business on the table? Any other new suggestions or any exciting going on this summer? I know it just started last week, but yeah, rain, that's something I want to talk about. So anything else actually you can add? So Okay, have a motion put forward to adjourn our meeting at approximately 10:30 today. Keith, thank you. And thank you. All in favor? Motion carried to adjourn our meeting at 10:30.